I'm going to show you everything you need to know to succeed in Cataclysm Classic as a protection paladin. Let's start off with what stat priority we're going to need. First of all, we're going to want stamina up to roughly about 10,000 or when you feel comfortable. Weirdly, this is actually going to also help with our threat generation. The reason for that is our Vengeance passive here. Each time you take damage, you gain 5% of the damage taken as attack power up to a maximum of 10% of your health. Meaning, the higher your maximum health is, the higher that 10% cap is actually going to be on attack power and therefore your threat generation. The next stat after that is Mastery, which is Divine Bulwark, increases your chance to block melee attacks by 30%. After that, we're going to want Dodge Rating. You can also swap this out for Parry Rating, that is fine. They're pretty equal when it comes down to it. After that, we're going to want Expertise, reducing the rate at which our enemies can actually dodge or parry our attacks. And lastly, Hit Rating. Of course, Attack Power is something we're also going to want if we can get it through Strength. But stamina and these stats here are the main ones that we should be actively trying to get. For the talents we're taking, of course, most of them are going in the protection tree. We're going with Seal of the Pure, increasing the damage done by your Seal of the Righteous, Seal of Truth and Justice. The seal we are going to be using is going to be Seal of Truth, filling the Paladin of Holy Power for half an hour, causing single target attacks to censure the target, dealing additional holy damage, and that can stack up to 5 times. Once stacked at 5 times, each of the Paladin's attacks also deal 16% weapon damage as deal additional holy damage, and it's going to grant you 10 expertise, meaning to get to the cap, you only need an additional 16 rather than 26 expertise. We can, of course, unleash that seal with our judgment. Unleashing this seal's energy will deal X amount of holy damage to an enemy, increased by 20% for each application of censure. So if there is the full 5 stacks on there, then it's going to be doing a lot more damage, of course, when we use our judgment to unleash this seal. Then we have Divinity, increasing all healing done to you and by you by 6%. Judgments of the Just, your judgment, which we've just spoken about, reduces the melee and range attack speed of the target for 20% for 20 seconds, therefore technically reducing how much damage we're going to take over that period. In addition, it increases the duration of your Seal of Justice effect by 1 second. We've then got Toughness, massively increasing how much armor we get from items. Sanctuary, reducing the chance you're going to be critically hit by melee attacks by 6% and reduces all damage taken by 10%. Fantastic for tanks, of course. In addition to that, when you block or dodge a melee attack, you're going to gain some mana back. We've then got Hammer of the Righteous, which I'm going to explain a bit more later. Same with all the other ones we're getting in here. Divine Guardian, Holy Shield, and Ardent Defender. I'm going to explain those when we go through the actual spells we're using. Wrath of the Lightbringer increases the damage of your Crusader Strike and Judgment abilities by 100%. So, for example, when we're unleashing our seal, the Judgment damage is redoubled. And increases the critical strike chance of some of our other spells by 30%. We've got Guarded by the Light, increasing the Word of Glory healing by 10% when used on ourself. In addition, any overhealing will create a protective shield equal to the amount of overhealing that is used. So up here you can see we've got Holy Power, and when I use things like Crusader Strike, it's going to generate a charge of Holy Power, and we can have a maximum of 3 charges. And then we're going to spend that Holy Power on certain spells. One of those spells, for example, is Word of Glory, consuming all the Holy Power to heal a friendly target. And because of that talent, we can actually use that on ourselves to do a lot more healing and also get that overheal protective shield. Then we've got Shield of the Templar, reducing the cooldown of Avenging Wrath by 60 seconds and Guardian of Ancient Kings by 120. And in addition, your Divine Plea generates 3 holy power. And this is basically just reducing the cooldown and increasing holy power generated by some of our major cooldown. Lastly, your Judgment and Avenger's Shield have a 50% chance of making your next Shield of the Righteous a critical strike. Apart from that, we've put a few other talents into Retribution. Crusade, increasing the damage of some of your attacks. Judgment improved is going to actually increase the range of your judgment spell. Rule of Law increases the critical effect of some of your attacks. And lastly, Pursuit of Justice. You've got a 100% chance to gain a charge of holy power when struck by a stun or immobilize or a fear, etc. In addition, this is going to increase your movement speed. For the glyphs we're taking, on the prime glyphs, we're going for the Glyph of the Seal of Truth, enhancing our seal, where it also then gains 10 expertise, which is already on the tooltip. We've already spoken about this. Again, to get the expertise cap, including when you're using your seal, you're going to need to get an additional 16 from other sources. Glyph of Crusader Strike, increasing the crit chance, and Glyph of Shield of the Righteous, increasing the damage of that ability by 10%. Glyph of Holy Wrath on the major one is going to now stun elementals and dragonkin. Focus Shield, your Avenger's Shield hits 2 fewer targets but does more damage, helping with threat generation. And Lay on Hands, which is a super duper heal that we can use on ourselves or others. It's going to reduce the cooldown by 3 minutes. Then on our minor glyphs, these are just quality of life mana reduction glyphs, specifically on our blessings and on our seal. Regarding our blessings, we have Blessing of Might and Blessing of Kings. If you don't know what these are, basically each paladin can put one on everyone. So whenever you use it, it'll do it on the whole raid. Might adds attack power, ranged attack power, and gives mana per 5 seconds to everyone. And Blessing of Kings increases strength, agility, stamina, and intellect by 5%, and also increases everyone's resistances. If there's 2 paladins in the group, one should put on Might and one should put on Kings. So how does this all come together for our rotation? It's merely aimed at threat generation, surviving, and generating and spending holy power. So the main priority we're going to be using is Shield of the Righteous. Slam the target with your shield, causing holy damage. The more holy power we use, the more damage it does. But how do we generate the holy power? Mainly, it's going to be from Crusader Strike. This is our main holy power generator. You can see each time we use it, it's going to cause holy damage and generate a charge of holy power. You can see up here, we now have 3 charges. After that, we're going to be using our Avenger Shield, hurling a shield at the enemy, dealing holy damage, silencing and interrupting spellcasting for 3 seconds. After that, on our priority list, it's going to be Hammer of Wrath, which you can only use at 20% health or lower. For the target, that is, not you. Then we're going to use our Judgment on cooldown, as well as our Consecration on cooldown, which basically, as you can see, consecrates the nearby area, dealing ticking damage of Holy, Light, and Holy Wrath, sending bolts of holy power in all directions, causing holy damage divided among all targets. And it will stun demons, dragonkin, elementals, and undead. We're only going to be using these last 2 if our mana allows. I don't want you to go out of mana by using these too much, depending on the other spells we're using. And this is the single target rotation. So spending holy power with Shield of the Righteous, generating it with Crusader Strike, and then using everything else pretty much as you can in order from left to right. For taunting, we can use our Hand of Reckoning over here. It's on an 8-second cooldown and taunts the target to attack you. And Righteous Defense is more of a AoE or utility sort of taunt. Come to the defense of a friendly target, commanding up to 3 enemies attacking that target to attack you instead. So it's not just going to taunt 3 nearby enemies, but specifically up to 3 enemies that are attacking the friendly target that you're coming to their defense to. So it's not so much of an AoE taunt. Well, it is, but only on people attacking the target you use it on. If there are 2 mobs attacking somebody else and 1 on the target you cast it on, you're only going to be taunting the 1 target that is attacking your target, if that makes sense. For the multiple target rotation, as I said, this top one here is mainly for single target rotations. We're actually, rather than spending our holy power on Shield of the Righteous, we're going to use it on Inquisition, consuming all holy power to increase your holy damage by 30%, lasts 4 seconds per charge of holy power consumed. Then we're going to use Hammer of the Righteous. Hammer of the Righteous target for 39% weapon damage, causing a wave of light that hits all targets within 8 yards for holy damage and grants holy power as well. So basically we can just swap these first 2 with these 2 instead. After that, using your Avenger Shield, Holy Wrath and Judgment, pretty much similar to the single target rotation. Moving on now to the cooldowns we're going to be using, we have actually quite a few. First up, we've got here Ardent Defender on a 3-minute cooldown, reduces damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds, and while it's active, the next attack that would otherwise kill you will actually instead cause you to be healed for 15% of your maximum health. So it's a basically get out of jail free card. Lay on Hands will heal you or another target for 100% of your health. Not their health, but 100% of yours. Meaning if they do have more health than you, then, well, tough luck, I guess. It's going to still do a huge amount of healing. We have the Guardian of Ancient Kings, where it's going to summon this Guardian of the Ancient Kings. While the Guardian is active, all incoming damage is reduced massively by 50%. And lastly, Avenging Wrath. Increases all damage and healing by 20% for 20 seconds. There's a few others we haven't spoken through. Divine Protection over here reduces damage taken by 20% for 10 seconds. And Divine Shield on a 5-minute cooldown, which you can't use because of Forbearance. If you use Lay on Hands or Hand of Protection, etc., you won't be able to use something similar for another minute. But what does Divine Shield do? Protects you from all damage and spells by 8 seconds, but reduces damage you deal by 50%. Same as Hand of Protection, which will protect you from all physical spells and abilities, but again, you'll lose all threat and they can't attack you. We've also got the Hand of Freedom, getting you or a friendly target out of any movement impairing effects, Hand of Salvation, reducing the threat from you or a friendly target, and Hand of Sacrifice, where you're going to take the damage rather than somebody else. We've also got Divine Plea. You gain 12% of your total mana over 9 seconds, but the amount healed by your healing spells is reduced. It does also grant a charge of Holy Power. Holy Shield is another one we can use on a 30-second cooldown, increasing the amount your shield blocks by additional 20% for 10 seconds. Again, it's on a 30-second cooldown, so you can actually use this one quite a lot, and it's sort of a mini cooldown, if you will. And lastly, Divine Guardian. All party and raid members within 30 yards, excluding you, take 20% reduced damage for 6 seconds. And that is pretty much it for the main rotation and spells we're going to be using. Regarding the consumables, I would recommend the Flask of Steel Skin, massively increasing your stamina, along with the Earthen Potion, increasing your armor when needed. Lava Scale Minestrone is going to add mastery and stamina, our best stat, remember. And Mythical Healing Potion is the healing potion you can use. If you're not sure about the other things such as professions, this is what I recommend here. First of all, for enchants, you will need to get Exalted or Revered with the Earthen Ring in Vashir, and also Pharazane in Deepholm for these head and shoulder enchants, adding stamina and dodge, and stamina and dodge. For the gems, I recommend you get the Bold Inferno Ruby in your red slot, a Fine Ember Topaz in your yellow slot, a Poisoned Dream Emerald in your blue slot, and an Austere Shadow Spirit Diamond in your meta slot, adding strength, parry and mastery, mastery and stamina, stamina and armor value. And then for the professions, lastly, I would recommend that you go for mixology, increasing massively the amount that you get from your flask in stamina, and also enchanting so that you can actually enchant your rings with 60 stamina per ring, making an extra 120 stamina. And that is pretty much it. That is how you're going to play Protection Paladin in Cataclysm Classic. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any other questions, feel free to join the Discord where I or another member of the community can help you out. And if you would like to support the channel, feel free to join my Patreon, where I've got tons of behind-the-scenes content as well. And if you are looking for other specs, whether it's for Paladins or also other classes, check out this playlist here because I've done every single one for Cataclysm Classic for you. It's 31 different specs, and I am officially now losing my voice and ready to take a break.